Hello, my name is Sarah Jade Stokes, and welcome to my Psychology Capstone project. I wanted to start at the beginning and give a brief overview of how I got here. I graduated in 2018. When COVID hit in 2020, I was at the point in my college career where I was choosing where to go for university, but I had no real understanding of what higher education truly was or where I wanted to go. When I first started, it was at RCC and my major was criminal psychology. I knew in the back of my mind that it wasn't the right fit and that I definitely wanted to go more towards counseling or something in that direction, but I took a little over a year and a half off due to the pandemic, and in that time I was able to hone in on what I wanted and where I wanted to go. That brings me to YSOU. I was torn between University of Oregon and Southern Oregon University. The campus in general and proximity to my hometown was appealing, as I am a first generation student and I am from the area. Therefore, being a little bit closer to home felt smarter for success and navigating through university, especially after the anxiety of the pandemic and living on my own brought me. Ultimately, what really drew me to SOU was its focus on counseling and the classes it provides, as well as when I was going between the two of them and comparing, I noticed that I aligned a lot more with what SOU had to offer. Creative writing is my minor. When I was starting out, I didn't expect my major and my minor to inform each other as much as they did, as it was more so me pursuing another passion of mine. Psychology and creative writing ended up curating a system where in my psychology classes, I was able to dissect language and apply my knowledge of it to coursework, as often verbiage says a lot about what we're thinking and feeling, as well as I was able to comprehend articles a little bit better. In my creative writing classes, I felt as if I had a more intimate understanding in human perception and how different sociological and psychological factors influence who we are as people, and I was able to integrate that into that work. SU provided me with many informative and influential courses that have set me on the path I've chosen as a near graduation, but a handful have stuck with me in terms of guiding and impacting my choices, so of course I'd like to focus on those. Influence through the years. Starting with psychopharmacology. It ended with us each choosing a topic to focus on and doing a presentation on it. My chosen subject was psilocybin and the positive impacts. It opened me up to a new world of possibility in terms of treatment and intervention, while showing me that perhaps counseling was not what I wanted exactly. Through sourcing articles, I stumbled upon social work master's program, and it had me consider social work as a career for the first time, and I put it in the back of my mind. Psychology of Shakespeare ties into my minor, but above all, it was insightful to recognize we're not limited in what we choose to explore, and that psychology is truly a stepping stone to so many different paths. I've gone back and forth on what I want to do in terms of higher education and writing and psychology of Shakespeare was a window into a world where two of my passions are intersecting, and how there are other things out there that align a lot closer to my personal interests. So again, another moment where I realized counseling maybe wasn't what I was going for actually. And I have stress management, which I know that the name has changed, but it was the first class I ever took at SOU. It gave us tools on breathing, meditation, creating lists, having small goals, and anti-procrastination tactics helped me greatly many times during stressful points of college, like midterms, finals, and the harder classes to take while also working. While those informed my choices in ways, the classes that have directed me the most were without a doubt social psychology and psychology of aging. So we're going to start with social psychology. For my social psychology class, I was put into a group and we had to come up with a way to raise money for CASA, which stands for Court Appointed Special Advocates. My group and I chose to create a silent auction fundraiser. A few local businesses donated gift certificates or small gifts to be auctioned off. People were able to come up, donate, and put their ticket in a jar corresponding with what they were hoping to win. We had games, and we were able to host it at the parking lot of Growler Guys. And as you can see, that is the photo on the right. I was in charge of making the signs we would post and hang around both campus and Ashland in general, which is that photo on the left, as well as the social media aspect. Social psychology showed me how powerful we could be with our voice and gave me knowledge of different ways to communicate subconsciously, such as the foot in the door and other persuasion methods. We were given the opportunity to go around town and pour skills in action, But honestly, this exercise had me realize how much I enjoyed advocacy and communicating with others to benefit resources in my community, as well as, of course, using resources in my community to benefit people in my community. To the left, that is a large Jenga, and it was one of the provided games we had to offer. And then on the right is just another poster that I created for the event. As you can see in the middle, it's a board that we had explaining who CASA is and what they do. They provided the board and all those little pamphlets. It was really nice to be able to have some tangible ways to show people what we were working for. And we also had a donation jar for people who didn't want to be part of the auction portion. We took turns sharing information with people, and during my turn, we had a gentleman come up and tell us a story on how he knew someone who had been helped by CASA, and hearing him explain how people were able to make long-lasting change was very touching, to the point that he even wanted to take a picture with us, people that were just trying to raise money for people he didn't even know. It had me recognize that while I would find counseling fulfilling, a lot of what I was looking for was that group connection over the one-on-one. So it brought me back to my findings on social work, and was the first step toward considering and connecting with the idea of social work and pivoting to that as my main motivation and focus instead of a counselor for the first time. That brings us to psychology of aging. When ruminating over what exactly I wanted to do, a huge question was what if I wanted to work with kids, especially after working with CASA. I had always had some interest in it as I enjoyed human development, and it did feel natural to me, but the intricacies of it seemed a little heavy and perhaps not what I was looking for. This was a slight setback, because with social work, my perception was largely that it consisted of helping mainly children, or rather the youth in general, as well as some younger adults. Thankfully, this changed after Psychology of Aging. In Psychology of Aging, we had 2 projects, and they sat with me for a long time. The first one was us meeting with older people in our lives and asking them a set of questions pertaining to day-to-day activities, how they view grief, love, the world, how they felt the world views them. The second was similar, but rather a group showed up to our class, and we had the chance of meeting one-on-one to ask questions and delve deeper into the subject of aging and how they felt about aging. It was really nice to connect with people in the community that you don't get to talk to a lot of the time. Through this, I was introduced to the reality of how discriminated the elderly both are and feel. While, of course, race and gender play an aspect, a large one, in the complexity of discrimination, they each were able to give an example of how they faced adversity due to being an older patron. After this class, I discovered how there is a geriatric social work. You're able to connect people with resources in the community, help them with their dental, with a doctor, all these things that they had been facing issues with and were telling me stories about. While I'm not sure if I will focus solely on helping those who are older as I progress on my journey, or at least start out with that exactly or solely, it was the last puzzle piece to show me that social work was definitely what I wanted to do and what I wanted to go for. It was nice to be able to confidently look into it without worrying if it was or wasn't a good fit for me. It expanded my view of possibilities as the closer I was getting to graduating, the more I began to wonder what I wanted. It was nice to find that answer. So that, of course, brings me to what's next. So after SAU, I do plan to get my master's and go for social work. I feel even my creative writing has helped guide me toward this choice, as articulating and building physical awareness and advocacy for groups of people is something I want to put my time and effort in. I love that group connection, like I said. My main plan for schooling is Portland State University, but I have considered Washington as a choice. No specific school yet, but most likely not too far from Oregon if I do plan to go to Washington. I just have some people going to a couple different schools up there who are telling me that they're having a good time in an adjacent field. I have already workshopped my application for the master's program at PSU, but I may end up having to take a gap year. Hopefully, I will be able to start my master's in the new year, but above all, I'm looking forward to continuing my education and learning as much as I can. When I started this journey, I wasn't sure where I was going, but the knowledge I've gained at SOU has me feeling confident in where I'll go next. Thank you so much for listening. Good luck on your own journey. Have a great one.